Last month I put out a video where I shared my picks for the 10 best superhero movies of all time. Well, today we're going in the opposite direction. I'm going to share my picks for the 10 worst comic book movies of all time. So let's talk about it. Hi, if you're stopping by for the first time, my name is SeanChandler, and I started this channel because I was driving everyone around me crazy talking about movies way too much. If you can relate, you're probably in the right place and consider clicking that subscribe button. With that in mind, also tell me your picks for the 10 worst comic book movies of all time as I go into this. If I've missed anything, tell me down below in the comment section, or if you just really want to defend Catwoman, go ahead, make your defense down below. One final thing before we get started, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is a library of over 180,000 audiobooks for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Get a free audiobook download of your choice and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/SeanChandler. I recommend checking out Slugfest. It's a book telling the 50-plus year history of the rivalry between Marvel and DC. It's a must-listen to for comic book lovers. You can download it for free if you sign up for a free trial at audibletrial.com/SeanChandler. With that said, let's get started. Kicking things off at number 10 is Batman and Robin. Of all the films on this list, I think this is the one where they actually made the film they wanted to make. Unfortunately, nobody wanted the film that they made. After going a little bit camp in Batman Forever, Joel Schumacher took the camp sliders and pushed them up to 11. From the bat jokes,
7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
To totally unforgivable versions of these characters. Everything in this movie is a total miscalculation or horribly executed. And who exactly is the target audience for this film? It has a juvenile sense of humor.
Louder, come on, sing, come on.
But it also has a plot line about Alfred dying and a whole lot of bat butts and nipples, which is really weird for a kid's movie. It's also been openly acknowledged that this movie was made to sell kids' toys. In the end, they made one of the most infamous misfires of all time. Coming in at number 9 is Blade Trinity. Of all the films on this list, this is probably the one I enjoy watching the most. The action's handled really well. Ryan Reynolds is essentially doing a prototype of his Deadpool persona in this film, and Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds are having a lot of fun and they're fully committed to their roles. But the movie doesn't really have a central storyline. There's no shortage of plot lines or exposition, but individual scenes just happen, but they don't tie together. There's no central flow of the narrative that's building towards anything. Scenes are just introduced and plot lines just thrown out there, and they don't go anywhere. Apparently this is because Wesley Snipes kind of went crazy on set, at least according to Patton Oswalt. Here's what he had to say.
If you just sit and watch Blade Trinity, it's a D-. But if you know what they went through to get that movie made, it is an A+. We were in Vancouver and Wesley Snipes was going crazy, and you'd walk by his trailer and this wall of pot stench would just, like, he would only answer to the name Blade. Wouldn't call him...
He would only answer to Blade?
The Blade, yeah. He would communicate with Post-its, and each one he would sign Blade.
While I still have fun with this one, it is not a good movie. At number 8 is Jonah Hex. Of all the films on this list, this is probably the most forgettable. It's not good, but it's not bad in a way that's particularly interesting. It's just kind of a blah thing that's out there. Nothing in this movie is explained. Why can Jonah Hex talk to dead people? Why are there exploding balls that blow up a city? Why is Megan Fox's character infatuated with a hideously scarred man twice her age? Why is Megan Fox in this movie at all? It was also very clearly originally intended to be rated R. It was written by the guys that directed Crank, but it's PG-13. So it has all these setups for sex, torture, violence, and profanity, but it doesn't have any sex, violence, torture, or profanity. You keep thinking something awesome's about to happen, and then it doesn't. Will Arnett has a serious role in this film, which I couldn't take seriously. In the end, it's not even worth watching to see how bad it is. Number 7, Catwoman, a shockingly bad idea for a movie executed even worse. It's based off of a Batman villain, but it features no Batman characters. This is a whole new set of characters, new set of powers, and a new origin story involving a magic Egyptian kitty cat bringing Catwoman back to life. The plot involves Halle Berry discovering an evil lotion company wants to release an evil lotion into the market, and she must stop the evil lotion saleswoman. And to spoil the end of the movie in 3, 2, 1, if you use the evil lotion too much, you gain superpowers. So Sharon Stone is a super villain because she used too much evil lotion. Now, the standout scene in this film is this really intense basketball sequence between Halle Berry and Benjamin Bratt that's hilarious. This is a movie that's a ton of fun to watch if you get a bunch of your obnoxious friends together. Coming in at number 6 is Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. There's actually an idea for a good movie inside of the story here. The script was written by David Goyer, who wrote the Blade movies as well as The Dark Knight. It's also directed by the guys who did Crank. The whole movie, you could feel this tension between Goyer wanting to make this movie with biblical archetypes and prophecy, and the Crank guys making a movie with pee jokes.
What if you have to pee while you're on fire?
Oh, that's awesome.
And the mix just does not work. It also slows to a halt in the middle of the film when they show up at this place with a bunch of monks. With different directors, I think this one might have been able to be pretty good, but there was just such a big mismatch between the script and the tone of the direction. Bringing us into the top 5 is Fantastic Four or Fan4stick. I was about a year late to seeing this one, so I had heard some bad things about it from critics, from audiences, and from the director himself, who tweeted this out. A year ago, I had a fantastic version of this, and it would have received great reviews. You'll probably never see it. That's the reality, though. That's not a good sign. So when I finally watched it, I thought the first 45 minutes were actually pretty good. And then they gained their powers and it all fell apart, and I understood all of the criticisms as the story flow narrative just crumbles. The movie virtually skips over the second act. The first act is about them gaining their powers, the third act is about them stopping Doom, but that second act is this jumbled mix of storytelling and time jumps. Supposedly Fox slashed the budget very late into pre-production, so Josh Trank had to cut out 2 different action sequences right before they started filming. Then on set, Josh Trank was supposedly having a whole bunch of meltdowns. There's set photos of entire sequences that aren't in the movie. There's sequences in the trailer that aren't in the movie. Whatever went on behind the scenes, this thing was a disaster. So who knows what the second half of the movie was supposed to be? Well, I guess Josh Trank does. But what we got was a weird mishmash of reshoots, bad wigs, and incoherent storytelling. At number 4 is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. Oh, how the mighty fall. In my list of the 10 best comic book movies of all time, I had very kind things to say about the first 2 Superman movies, and then the franchise kind of fell apart. Canon bought the film rights to Superman, but they didn't have enough money to make a good Superman movie, so they had to cut corners all throughout production, and the place you see this most is that they kept reusing footage of Superman flying. It's literally the same shot multiple times. And the plotting is horrendous at times. The main plot line itself is fairly well-intentioned in that they wanted to tell a story about Superman ridding the world of nuclear weapons, but the main villain himself, Nuclear Man, is a really stupid villain. For some reason, he decides that he wants to blow up monuments all over the world, so he flies from the United States to blow up the Great Wall of China, and then flies back to New York City to pick up the Statue of Liberty. And in one sequence, he defeats Superman by scratching his neck. Unfortunately, this is how Christopher Reeve's legacy as Superman had to end. Before I give you my bottom 3, remember to tell me your picks for the 10 worst comic book movies down below in the comment section, or you can provide your defense of Catwoman. That could be fun too. Also, after this video, check out this video up above with my picks for the 10 best superhero movies of all time. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like that one too. Kicking off the bottom 3 is the Fantastic Four from 1994. In one of the most cynical moves in movie history, it is well documented in the documentary Doomed that this movie was made just so that the studio could keep the film rights to the Fantastic Four. It was never intended to be released. But they didn't tell that to the director, the cast, or the general public. In fact, Wizard magazine ran several different scoops on it. As a kid, I read the articles in Wizard magazine and waited for years for this movie to come out, and it never did. This movie is amateurish on every level, except the score. The score is actually kind of good. The costumes look like really bad cosplay, and the special effects are embarrassing at best. The Mr. Fantastic stretchy powers look like they took a broomstick, put a glove on it, and stretched it out towards the camera. There's also this strange plotline about sewer people and a wedding. Now, I can watch some pretty bad movies, but this one is pretty tough to sit through. Our runner-up is Supergirl. I gotta say, the score on this one is also pretty good. Everything else is a painful, incoherent train wreck. The basic conflict of the story involves someone giving Supergirl the power source to Argo City to play with, where she promptly loses it and it falls to Earth, and she must go to Earth to try and save it. On Earth, a would-be witch finds it and immediately knows how to use it to do magic things. When Supergirl arrives on Earth, she's magically in the Supergirl outfit for no reason, forgets that she's there to save Argo City, and decides to enroll in college and start playing sports. And as dumb as that sounds, the movie itself is even dumber, and the dialogue is even worse.
Our lights will grow dim and the very air we breathe so thin.
It's a movie so bad that they cast legendary actor Peter O'Toole, only to have him walking around the Phantom Zone saying the word
squirt, squirt.
This movie is just tedious to sit through. But the worst comic book movie of all time, The Dark Knight. This is the most overhyped piece of garbage I have ever seen. Just kidding. But the actual worst comic book movie of all time, Howard the Duck. This is a shockingly bad misfire from George Lucas. This movie has absolutely no idea what it wants to be. Is it a satire? Is it a sci-fi adventure? Is it a comedy? Is it a romance between a woman and a duck? The first hour of the movie is about Howard the Duck befriending a girl in a band and becoming her band manager, and the second half of the film is about defeating space dark overlords to save the Earth. That's a bit of a shift. And I have no idea what age range they were going for with this film, because there's certain elements of it that seem kind of kiddie, but at the same time, there's multiple shots of duck boobs in the first 10 minutes, and the relationship between Howard and Leah Thompson's character is very uncomfortable, including a double entendre fake sex scene. Don't watch this movie alone. This is the type of film you get a group of your most obnoxious friends together to watch it so you can quack jokes throughout the runtime. Remember to check out that video right over there with my picks for the 10 best superhero movies of all time. If you want that free audiobook, try a trial of audible.com. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.